Jr.4, how are you today? Hope you all are fine. We still in session 2. Okay, today we're going to take how to make a question or ask. Make a question or ask. Both are giving the same meaning. In Arabic ازاي اعمل سؤال أو اسأل. Okay? To make a question correctly, we have to know and memorize auxiliary verbs or helping verbs like am, is, are, was, were, do, does, did. Again, am, is, are, was, were, do, does, did. In Arabic Junior, these are auxiliary verb or helping verbs أو بالعربي الأفعال المساعدة. Why do we call them helping verbs؟ ليه بنسميهم الأفعال المساعدة؟ Because they help us to know the tense. عشان هم بيساعدونا نعرف التنس اللي احنا فيه، الزمن اللي احنا فيه. Like am, is, are, do, does, give, refer to the present. Okay, am, is, are, do, does بيشيروا للمضارع. Was, were, and did refer to the past. بيشيروا was, were, did refer to the past بيشيروا للماضي. Okay, we have let's start. We have two types of question: yes or no question and WH question. Yes, let's begin with yes or no question. Yes or no question in Arabic بمعنى سؤال بمعنى هل, and its answer begin with yes or no, so we call it yes or no question. سؤال بمعنى هل وإجابته بتبقى بيس ونو، عشان كده سميناه yes or no question. Okay, to make a yes or no question، عشان نعمل yes or no question we have to follow two steps. Step number 1 لازم نتبع خطوتين. Step number 1 أول خطوة: if I see yes cancel yes, if I see no cancel no and not. Okay, step number 2: search for auxiliary verbs. أدور على auxiliary verbs or helping verbs like am, is, are, was, were, do, does, did. Okay, for an example: yes, I was happy yesterday. Ask نعمل سؤال. Okay, step number I have to follow two steps. Step number 1: if I see yes cancel yes. Okay, step number 2: I search for auxiliary verb. أدور على auxiliary verb like am, is, are, was, were, do, does, did. Here I see was, so make a cross. Was become number 1. Okay, and I become number 2, and I in the sentence become you in the question. Here you take was, no, that's wrong. You takes were, so were you happy yesterday? And that's the question, so don't forget question mark. Number 2: no, they weren't playing tennis at 2. Step number 1: if I see yes cancel yes, if I see no cancel no, and it's a friend not. Okay, step number 2: search for auxiliary verb. Search for auxiliary verb like am, is, are, was, were, do, does, did. Okay, here I see were, so make a cross between were and they. Were become number 1, so I say were they playing tennis at 2, and that's the question, so don't forget question mark. Number 3: yes, she ate cake yesterday. Make a question يعني اسأل. If I see step I have to follow two steps. Don't forget two steps يا جونيور، ما ننساش الخطوتين اللي بنمشي عليهم. Step number 1: cancel yes. Step number 2: search for auxiliary verb or helping verb. Am, is, are, was, were, do, does, did. Here I don't see am, I don't see is, I don't see are, I don't see was, I don't see were. I would do, does, we did. Okay, here she ate cake yesterday. Yesterday is a key word of the past, so do, does refer to the present, so I don't put them. I put did. Here, where should I put did? Where where should I put did number 1? And after it, the subject, she. Did she? And after did يا junior become the verb in infinitive. The verb in its basic form يعني بيرجع لأصله يا junior. It become eat. Did she eat cake yesterday? Don't forget question mark. Number 4, no he doesn't study yesterday. No he didn't study yesterday. Here step number 1, cancel no and not. Step number 2, search for auxiliary verb or helping verbs am, is, are, was, were, and if they don't exist I put do, does, و did. لو دول am و is و are was were مش موجودين I put do, does, و did. أحط do, does, و did من عندي. Do, does in the present, did in the past. Here he didn't. Here there is didn't. So did become number 1. Did he, make a cross between did and he. Did number 1, he number 2. Did he study? And the rest of the sentence, did he study yesterday? And don't forget question mark. Type number 2 from the question, WH question. Here, why do we call them WH question? Because they start with WH, W and H. Like what, who, when, where, why, how. Why did how included with WH question? Because H and W, so we call it WH question. What, we use what to ask about the things that doesn't have a brain. Like cat can talk, no. Can think, no. So we ask about it with what. Like Paul can talk يا junior, no. Can think, بتفكر, no. So we ask about it with what. Book can talk, no. Can think, no. So we ask about it with what. Like a chair, like lunch, we eat lunch, can talk, no. Can think, no. So we ask about it with what. Who, we use who to ask about persons. Person like us, like Ali, Dina, mom, dad. Ali can talk, can think, بيقدر يتكلم, بيقدر يفكر. So we ask about Ali with who, like Dina, mom, dad, and so on. When we ask about time by when. When we use it to ask about time, like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and so on. Where, we use where to ask about place like school, home, hospital, restaurant يعني المطعم. Okay. Why, we use why to ask about the reason يعني السبب. Okay. How, we use how to ask about condition like how are you, how do you do. We use how to ask about age, like how old are you. We use how to ask about transports, like how do you go to school. You answer me by bus, by taxi, on foot, and so on. Okay. WH question, what, who, when, where, why, how. Okay. To make a question by WH question, we put question word. These are question word. What, who, when, where, why, how. Number 2, auxiliary verb or helping verbs like am, is, are, was, were, do, does, did. Subject number 3. Subject like he, I, we, you, they, he, she, it. Or Ali, Dina, Ahmed, mom, dad, and so on. Main verb become number 4. Main verb like play, eat, drink, swim, and so on. So they all make our friend Qasim. Q like question word, and A like auxiliary verb, S like subject, M like main verb. Again, question word like what, who, when, and so on. Auxiliary verb like am, is, are, was, were. Okay, and so on. Subject like I, we, he, she, Ali, Mona, and so on. Main verb like eat, drink, swim, and so on. Okay, Junior? They all make our friend Qasim. And to make a question, the WH question, remember your friend Qasim. Q, question word, A, auxiliary verb, S, subject, M, main verb. Okay, next examples. They played football yesterday. He tell me that to make a question or ask. Okay, how didn't we put it in yes or no question? Because it doesn't start with yes or no. ازاي عرفنا جونيور ان هو مش yes or no question? Because it doesn't start ان هو ما بدأش ب yes or no, so it's a WH question. So we ask about we played football yesterday. We want to ask about football, and football is a thing that doesn't have a brain, so we ask about it with what? So here our friend Qasim. Q, WH question, and we ask about football with what? And cancel football because we ask about it with what? Okay. Number 2, A. Where is the auxiliary verb? Here, where is the helping verb? Auxiliary am, is, are, was, were, do, does, did. Do we here have am? No. Is? No. Are? No. Was? No. Were? No. So we put do, does, did. Do, does in the present, and we have here yesterday, so we put did because it refers to the past. Okay, so what did? Okay, number 3, subject. Where is the subject? فين الفعل هنا يا جونيور؟ They. Where did they? And number 4 from Qasim. Number 4 main verb. Where is the main verb? فين الفعل الأساسي بتاعي؟ Play. And here after did we put the verb play it? No. After did we put the verb in infinitive without anything. We don't add ed. Okay, in infinitive we don't add anything. D, no. Ed, no. Ied, no. So what did they play yesterday? Again, number 2. Okay, they rode a bike last Monday. Ask. Okay, our friend Qasim. Question word number 1. Question word what, who, when, how, where, why. Here they rode a bike. We want to ask about the bike. The bike doesn't have a brain, can't talk, can't think. The bike can't talk, can't think, so we ask about it with what. Okay, we write what and cancel a bike. Number 2, auxiliary verb or helping verb. Am, is, are, was, where, do, does, did. Here we don't have am, we don't have is, we don't have are, we don't have was or where. So we put do, does, did. Here we have last, and last refers to the past. Keyword of the past, علامة من علامات الماضي. So we don't take do, we don't take does because they refer to the present. So we write did. Number 3 is subject. Where is the subject? They. Number 4 main verb. Where is the main verb? Rode. After did the verb is infinitive. Okay, we put the verb in its basic form. نرجع الفيرب الأصل يا جونيور. Rode. Ride. Rode become ride. What did they ride last Monday. And don't forget question mark. Number 3, he was watching TV yesterday at 3. Make a question or ask. اعمل سؤال. Number 1, our friend, don't forget our friend Qasim. Our friend Qasim. Number 1, question word. Question word, what, who, when, how, where, why. Okay? He was watching TV yesterday. I wanted to ask about TV. Okay, TV can talk? Can talk, so no. Can think? No. So we ask about it with what? غير عاقل يا جونيور. Okay. Number 2, auxiliary verb. Is, are, was, were, do, does, did. Here we have, we have was, so we put was. Number 2, subject. Number 3, subject, he. Subject, what was he? Number 4, main verb. الفعل الأساسي عندي watching. What was he watching yesterday at 3. Don't forget question mark. Okay, let's continue, Junior. Open your revision sheet, page number 16 and 17. Here, he told me ask or make a question. نعمل سؤال. Number 1, yes, we ate a chocolate cake. This is yes or no question, so we have to follow 2 steps. Step number 1, cancel yes or cancel no and not. Step number 2, search for auxiliary verb. ندور على auxiliary verb or helping verbs, الأفعال المساعدة. Is, are, was, were, do, does, did. Okay, if they exist like is, are, was, were لو موجودين make a cross. If they don't exist لو مش موجودين في السنتنس عندي and we put do, does, did من عندنا. Okay. Number 1, yes, we ate chocolate cake. Here, yes or no question. Step number 1, cancel yes. Step number 2, search for auxiliary verbs. ندور على auxiliary verbs or helping verbs. Here we have am, no, is, no, are, no, was, were, no. So I put do, does, or did. Here we have we ate. Ate is in the past, في الماضي, so we don't choose do or does. We take did. So we put did number 1. Did we become you. We in the sentence become you in the question. We في الجملة بيبقى you في السؤال. Okay, did you, after did, the verb in infinitive. We put it in its basic form. بنرجعه للأصل بتاعه. Ate become eat. Did you eat chocolate cake? And question mark. Number 2, no, I didn't sleep early last night. So it's yes or no question or WH question. Yes, it's yes or no question. So we have to follow 2 steps. Step number 1, cancel no and its friend not. And here, step number 2, we have to follow to search for auxiliary verbs. Here we have is, or, was, were, no. We have do, does, did. Yeah, we have did. So make a cross. Make a cross between did and I. Did I in the sentence become you in the question. Did you sleep early last night? Here, don't forget question mark. Number 3, yes, I cleaned my room last night. Here we have yes or no question. So step number 1, cancel yes. Step number 2, search for auxiliary verb. Where is the auxiliary verbs? Am, is, are, was, were, do, does, did. Here we don't have am, is, are, was, were. We don't have them. So we put do, does, or did. Here we have the word last. Last refer to the past. So we put did. We choose did. we put did number 1. Did, after did I put I become you. Did you clean? Clean. And after did we put the verb without any addition. We don't put ed. Did you clean my? Become with you become your. Did you clean your room last night? Question mark. Number 4. No, John didn't buy a new shirt. This a yes or no question, so we have to follow 2 steps. Step number 1, cancel no and not. Don't forget to cancel not or cross out not. Here we have to follow step number 2, search for auxiliary verb. Am, is, are, was, were, do, does, did. Here we don't have am, is, are, was, were. We don't have do, does. Oh, we have here did. So make a cross. Did become number 1. John become number 2. Did John buy a new shirt? Don't forget question mark. Example number 5. No, Sandra wasn't happy yesterday. Here we have yes or no question. Step number 1, cancel no and not. Step number 2, search for helping verb. Where is the helping verb? Here we have was, so we make a cross. Was become number 1. Sandra become number 2. Was Sandra happy yesterday? And don't forget question mark. Number 6, yes, they were in Alexandria last summer. Here we have yes or no question, so step number 1, cancel yes. Step number 2, search for the auxiliary verb. Here we have where, so make a cross between where and they. Where they in Alexandria last summer? Question mark. Number 7, no, Maggie wasn't naughty in the class a day ago. Here we have yes or no question. Step number 1, cancel no and cancel not. Step number 2, search for auxiliary verb or helping verb. Am, is, are, was, were. Here we have was, so make a cross between was and Maggie. Was Maggie naughty in the class a day ago? Okay. Number 8, yes, I was in Cairo 3 days ago. We have yes or no question. Step number 1, cancel yes. Step number 2, search for auxiliary verb. Am, is, are, was. We have here was, so was, make a cross between was and I. I become you, and you takes was or were? Yes, takes were. So were you in Cairo 3 days ago? And don't forget question mark. Here we studied math last night. Here we have yes or no at the beginning. No, so that's not yes or no question, it's WH question. Here we studied math last night. I want to ask about math. Math has a brain? No. Can think? No. Can talk? No. So we ask about it with what? Okay. Here we have our friend Qasim. Yes or WH question. Our friend Qasim. So put here our friend Qasim. Q-A-S-M. Q refers to question word what? What? Number 2, auxiliary verb. A refers to auxiliary verb like am, is, are, was, were, do, does, did. Here we have last, and last refers to the past. So we don't have am, is, are, was, were. So we put do, does, or did. And here we have last in the past, so we don't take do, we don't take does, so we take did. What did? We become subject. Here, number 3, subject is we. So we become you. What did you? Number 4, main verb is study. Study last night. And don't forget question mark. Okay, Junior? The rest of the questions from 10 to 15 will be homework. Okay, we are in page number 18 in the revision sheet. Do as shown. Do as shown. He asks me to do what between two brackets. Here, yes, I was in Cairo 3 days ago. He asks me to make a question. Ask. So this is do as shown. Number 1, yes, I was in Cairo 3 days ago. Here he want me to ask. So we have here yes or no question. So we follow 2 steps. Step number 1, cancel yes. Step number 2, search for auxiliary verb. Auxiliary verb like am, is, are, was, were, do, does, did. Here we have was, so make a cross between was and I. I become you. And you takes was? No, you takes were. So, were you in Cairo 3 days ago? And don't forget question mark. Number 2, no, I wasn't at the library yesterday. He want me to make a question. Ask. Okay, here we have no, so we have yes or no question. Step number 1, cancel no and cancel not. Number 2, search for auxiliary verb, helping verbs like am, is, are, was, were. Here we have was, so make a cross between was and I. I become you, and you doesn't take was, it takes were. So were you at the library yesterday? And the rest of the questions, Junior, are homework. That's it. Thank you.